Have you been feeling like no matter what you say or do in your relationship lately, it's only like it's making things worse? If so, it feels like you're caught in this toxic spiral with your partner. The harder you try, the worse it gets. If this is sounding familiar, I'm so glad you're here for this episode of Love, Happiness, and Success. We're talking about how to fix broken relationships, why it happens, and what you can do to repair your bond. If this is your first time listening, I'm so glad you're here. I'm Dr. Lisa Marie Bobby. I'm a marriage and family therapist, and I specialize in helping people restore their relationships, among other things. And in today's episode, I have a lot to share with you. We're going to be talking about what is going on deep down that is causing this problem so that you have visibility into the negative relationship cycles that you're going to have to fight through to get through the other side. But we're also going to be talking about the strategies and action steps you'll need to put this relationship back together again, because there's a lot of work. When relationships get to a certain place, there is, just to jump right into this, a certain negative relational cycle that begins to take on a life of its own. It feels like being caught in this weird vortex, right? And I have been here in my own relationship. I have gone through chapters where things felt very difficult, certainly in the earlier days of our marriage. And I went through a period, like a dark night of the soul, where I was like, I don't know if this is going to work. These negative relationship cycles will take on a life of their own. Even asking your partner, like, pass the salt at dinner can start to feel loaded. Like there's this underlying hostility that just colors every interaction. And here's the thing, you are not just imagining this. In this negative communication cycle, it is so powerful, and it starts to shape the way we think about our partners, the way we feel about our partners, and then the way that we behave towards them. And relationships are systems, meaning that people begin to react to each other in these situations, not just what is actually happening, but what people think is happening. Because again, everything is going through this filter that is colored by pain, resentment, anger, hurt feelings, mistrust. So it is very difficult to get out of this on your own. It's like getting pulled into a riptide, no matter how hard you try to swim, you just end up exhausted and further out to sea. So, why does this happen? When people get into negative communication cycles and start thinking, feeling, and behaving in ways that are not good for the relationship, each time there's a little microaggression in your relationship, for lack of a better word, it erodes the trust and the goodwill that you once had towards each other. So that's when every comment starts to feel tinged with criticism or resentment. And when that happens, you will both start becoming reactive, either always on guard and defensive, or maybe, overly snappish and hostile. So what this means is that even if you want to make things better and you try to do things differently, you are coming into an interaction from a place of love, your partner may still assume the worst about you and then respond to you from that core belief rather than what you're actually doing. And that is when it starts to spiral. And so I hope I'm not being overly scary, but there is good news here. First of all, the awareness that, yes, we are locked into this negative relationship cycle. And I think just the validation and the affirmation that it is really hard to break out of these on your own. I want you to know that you can fix it with the right kind of help. And that's the important part here, because I think many people, when they try what they know how to do to fix a broken relationship and it doesn't work, they often don't realize that they're stuck in this negative relationship cycle that we've been talking about. And because of that, it can go into, well, this relationship is broken beyond repair. My partner is irredeemable and this is never going to get better, and start creating narratives to support their experience, because the negative relationship cycles are so strong you really can't break out of them by yourself. But what is also true is that with the right kind of support, working with somebody who is very knowledgeable, who can stop the system in a very powerful way and help you guys go deeper and reconnect at a different level, hope is definitely possible. And what I tell people all the time, just because you don't know how to fix your relationship does not mean that it can't be fixed. You don't know what is possible yet if you haven't gotten the right kind of help. So one of the resources that I put together for you today is a free online quiz that will help you, just as a starting point, get visibility into whether or not you're caught in one of these toxic relationship cycles that is going to be super hard to break out of by yourself. This is my How Healthy Is Your Relationship quiz, and you can find it on my website, growingself.com. It is totally free, and it asks it's fairly robust, probably 30 to 40 questions about different aspects of your relationship. It will give you a snapshot about the strengths and the growth opportunities of your relationship in different domains. But in the free report that'll come back to you, it's like a customized report with a lot of information about different parts of your relationship. But it will also tell you what your negative communication scores are. And this is really important, because when your negative communication scores are very high, that is a sign, kind of a diagnostic indicator, if you will, that your relationship is in trouble and one of these negative cycles is brewing. And it's okay if it is, because now you know what needs to be done. And I am here to tell you, hopefully not too late to turn things around. I will say that if you let it go on indefinitely and it continues to damage and erode the fabric of your relationship, there will come a time when the best marriage counselor in the world cannot help you put that back together again. I have been in the room when that is going on, and it's incredibly sad. But it does happen, and that's why the strongest, healthiest couples who make it for the long haul, those are the ones who recognize the signs, say we need to do something here, and they get help for their relationship. Like, you take your car to a mechanic, you go for a checkup when you're like, this cough has been lasting for 6 months. Let's go in and check it out. Oh, I do need an antibiotic, right? Like, it's like that, but for your relationship. So to stop these negative cycles, you must get help for it. But it's also important to know that not all therapists are the same, and it can get very confusing when you start looking at your options. And so if you are already realizing that you need help, or you take that quiz and you're like, yeah, we need to do something, be sure to stick around for chapter 2 of this, because we're talking about how to find a really good, competent, effective couples counselor or marriage counselor who can actually help you get out of this mess and repair your relationship so that you can move past all this yuckiness, break out of this negative relationship cycle, and restore the joy, the love, the connection, and start enjoying each other again. So take the relationship quiz I put in front of you, growingself.com/relationship quiz. Get visibility into your relationship. And then when you're ready, come back for chapter 2 about how to find the right kind of help. Because trust me on this, if you get the wrong kind of help, it could make it worse instead of better.